Hi, I'm Zoe Starr, and welcome to the Halloween special that we're having, Paranormal Extraction. Today we have Robin Haynes on terrifying UFO encounters since age 4. She is well known in the UFO community and has MUFON approved video, which we will put in this video. So we are really excited. She's also well known for her cryptids and forest people, as well as being a clairvoyant. So I am a hybrid Nordic alien today. And did you know implant and Rh negative blood? So that is what I'm dressed as, a hybrid Nordic alien. Just so you know, I somehow got my arm into this because I broke my shoulder, but I will be hanging my arm here. All right. Thank you. Hi, Robin. Hey, Robin. Oh, thank you so much for being on my show. I mean, this is my Halloween special month, and I wanted to dress up for every show. And I'm a horrid hybrid Nordic with, and I already said that, Rh negative blood, and I can go on about that, my chip and all that stuff. But, this is just amazing. Since age 4, okay, this has been going on with you. And you're really well known in the UFO community, and the video from MUFON has been approved, and we're going to put that in this. And you also do speaking events on cryptids and forest people. And this is just going to be an amazing story, and amazing that I got you on here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where people can find you? I know you're doing something new, which is really exciting as well. So why don't you give us a little bit of that information?
Okay, well, thank you first for having me on the show, Zoe. I've been really looking forward to it. Bit of an issue getting on here today because we had a lot of ET interference, but I'm here.
We did.
I am. I have
oh my God.
Entire life. I've spent my entire life working with people that are in the cryptid community as well as the UFO and the ET community. And I assist them with whatever problems they have, or just give them whatever information I know that I can share. And I've done this for so long. I'm in my 50s, God help me, but I am. And so I finally decided, everybody asked me, like, is there a website we can find you? Can you do this? Can you do this? When people are in trouble with the cryptids, like the Bigfoots or the Dogmen or whatever, I do that free of charge. I never charge. I don't want to make any money off of other people's misery. I just don't. So I never charge for that. However, I have officially got a website. It's called paranormal-empowerment.com. And I'll make sure you have the link to put it up.
Excellent.
And you can go on there, and I can teach energy classes so that you can do energy work or grounding work. I work with abductees, anything paranormal, people that have questions about the ETs, have questions about the UFOs. I work with Mind Speak. Pretty much, there's a huge array of services that I offer through that can be really beneficial. I really firmly believe that the only way we're going to feel any better about all these things that are out there is if we know about them. I don't claim to know everything because I don't believe anybody does. However, I have spent over 50 years learning and being taught by ETs and the Bigfoot and the Dogmen and all the cryptids. And I speak to the ghosts, and I also speak to people whose families have passed away and right. They want to get messages. If it will speak to me, I can speak to it. It's not a problem for me. If they want to speak, then I give them the platform, and I can do that. And I do a lot of counseling for people that may have PTSD. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. I just have been through a lot with this. And so I've opened up a website now where there is a list of services if anybody is interested in it, and you can go on there and sign up for it.
Right. Now, I'm really into this, and I always like to do shows that, help people. And
Right.
that's what I really, really dig about you. And afterwards, I have to talk to you about something serious about that, which I
Okay.
haven't been able to resolve. And of course,
Okay.
I've had my own experiences too.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
you know, when you sent me that MUFON accredited UFO
Yeah.
video, that was absolutely insane, as well as your photos of two different types of aliens. So
Right.
we're going to put that on the clip for the show to show
Okay. And
everybody.
I think I sent you one too of the triangular shaped craft outside of the garage, and then underneath of it is an open portal and a head coming out.
No, I didn't really see that one. Maybe I just forgot. But anyways, so
I'll
why
make
don't
sure you have it.
okay, so why don't you tell us? I mean, I know you've had positive events too, but
Absolutely.
this is our Halloween special. So we
We want the
are
bad stuff.
talking about your terrifying UFO encounters. So why don't
Yeah.
you start telling us about those? Because
Okay.
they're horrid.
Yeah. First off, my experiences started. The first one I remember was 4. Okay. And at that time, I was told while I was on the craft that they had been taking me since I was an infant. And so those I didn't have a memory of. The one when I was 4, it wasn't overly scary. You could tell I had been there before, because why would a 4-year-old child on a craft with multiple ETs not be frightened?
Well,
I
of
wasn't frightened
course.
at
Yeah.
all. So I do believe that it was before then that they had been taking me, because otherwise I would be fearful of it. I have had some really crazy ones that were very terrifying, and it's not uncommon for them to take you in dream state. Dream state is a real place.
Oh, yeah, for
Okay, there's
sure.
and having a dream and
Yeah.
being in dream state. When you're in dream state, you can get hurt in there. I've had my arm broken in dream state. I woke up with busted lips, cuts, bruises, different various physical effects of attacks in there.
Yeah.
And so when at that point we had some that were coming at me in dream state, I would wake up so terrified. They would be basically hunting me in my dreams. And then when I would confront them, they would put all of these horrible, horrifying images in my mind. What people don't realize when it comes to the ETs is they do a lot of projection. They project things into your mind, feelings on you. They will make you feel fearful whether you are or not. And it's basically, they terrorize you. They feed off that negative energy. That's what they do. And the more negative energy they can create within you, it's just like going to a buffet. And they will take your life and they will blow your life up till there's nothing left of it, to keep you in that state of negativity and negative energy, so they can continue to feed, and they get stronger while you get weaker.
Okay, now
And
I've heard this stuff, okay, with some bestsellers when they started their experiences, but what type are we talking about? Is there a specific race?
no, there is a lot of, there's a lot of races. I would say there's at least hundreds of different ones out there. Are there some that are good? I'm being optimistic and I'm saying yes. I have done some healing work on a couple of good ones. But even the ones that, I had always been led to believe were good, I are really suspect to whether they truly are, due to experiences I've had with them. Now, when I was dealing with a lot of these things, even in dream state as well as physical, they were awful. I had the one in dream state that I first started out referring to. That thing terrorized me for a very long time. I was so afraid I was immobilized. I was so terrified. And that's when I realized, you know what? I can kill these things in a physical form. Why can't I do it in the paranormal realm? And that's what I started doing. And once I did that, the attacks in the dream state were much, much less.
So what did you do in the dream state that you had to get back at them, to keep you away from them?
I do energy work. I know how to blast. I know how to zap, and do all of these things. And you can take the energy from your own body and not only build, and I teach this on the website, not only are you capable of making a protective bubble that goes around yourself to protect you from anything bad. The good stuff can touch you, the bad stuff can't. But you can also take the energy and the light in your own personal body and throw it at them. And it's like an electrocution type thing.
Yeah.
If you were wringing wet and you went up to a hot wire fence and grabbed it, you would be electrocuted. And it has the same ability, and it blows them up.
Okay.
And let me tell you, there's nothing that makes you happier than blowing up a bad ET. If you want to make your day get better, blow them up.
Yeah, okay.
I had one instance, I was laying in bed and I was actually awake. I wasn't asleep. Like a lot of times I think I'm sleeping and I'm not. And all of a sudden I was paralyzed. Next thing I knew, there was a couple of them at the end of the bed. There was one on my right-hand side of my bed standing there, and it looked like it had some kind of table or platform right there. And it turned around and it put this thing on my head, and it reminded me of an upside down colander like you would put spaghetti noodles in.
Yeah.
Except it was alive. It felt cold and wet. It was very slimy, and it almost felt like a rubbery material. And the thing was like moving all over my face with like tentacles, like an octopus would. And the slime was all over me. I couldn't breathe. I literally could not breathe. And they were very quiet at that time. They didn't say anything, but I couldn't move. There was nothing in my body that could move. I am claustrophobic, and when I get pinned like that,
oh my
it
God,
just puts me right over the top.
Oh yeah.
So at that point, I can't breathe. I'm paralyzed. I can't breathe. This thing is wiping all over my face, and there's slime all over me, and I'm starting to panic. And I'm thinking, why are you panicking? You teach this to people every day. Like, get over it. You know what to do. You have the training.
Yeah.
You teach this to people. Practice what you preach, So I had to compartmentalize it. And basically what I did is I took myself out of the physical situation that was going on, because this wasn't in dream state. This was really going on. This was in physical form. And I took myself mentally out of that situation, focused on myself, and said, you know how to blast everything. You have been trained by the Sasquatch to do this. You know what you're doing. Just blast them. And I'm thinking to myself, but I can't move. And I'm like, I don't need to move. When you throw energy, you can not only do it with the physical part of your body, you can just do it with your body. So I didn't have to move to do it. So what I did was I blasted energy out of every part of my body all at one time. When I did that, it was just like they were gone. They've never come back. They've never come back.
Wow.
And I've had to do that on more than one occasion. It was frightening because I couldn't breathe. And after I blasted them and they were gone, then of course I had my mobilities back again. Looking back, I should have said to myself, hey, you know what? You could get DNA from the slime, but then I never thought about it. I was so glad I got them out of there. And I was kind of mad because normally I have guards stationed around my house with cryptids. And I was like, how did they even get in here? Like, where were the guards? Where are the ones that are supposed to be keeping me alive here? Nobody was around. But they come in, people don't realize too, not only do they come in physical form, they come in a holographic form. And so a lot of times, like the ones that are stationed out here to keep an eye on me to make sure I stay safe, physical stuff that comes in, they can stop that right away or they'll warn me. But when they come in a holographic type situation, it doesn't always work quite that way. Now, these did not look like a hologram to me, but that doesn't mean that they weren't. I had another experience that I was sitting in bed. I was wide awake. And this one, believe it or not, as bad as it doesn't sound scary, it was the most terrifying one I've ever had. I was sitting in bed. I was watching TV. It was that simple. It wasn't anything major. I didn't even know they had come. The next thing I knew, it was in the morning, and I am a creature of habit at night. I have 2 cell phones sitting next to the bed. I have a tablet sitting next to the bed. My slippers are right next to the bed so that I know where everything is at all times. They're fully charged unless something messes with them like they did today.
Right.
And I woke up and I was extremely disoriented and didn't really understand where I was, how I got where I was, which is unusual for me. And I reached over to grab the cell phones. They were not there. My tablet was on the floor. I got up and I was very off balance. I was groggy. It reminded me as if if you have surgery when you wake up, you're kind of out of it.
Wow.
And I went to grab my slippers and my slippers weren't there. And I thought, where is everything? Like, this literally makes no sense. And I got up and I'm kind of staggering around. I'm thinking, I didn't know if it was daytime, nighttime. I'm looking outside and it was light outside. And my ex-husband, we were still together at the time, and he wasn't there. I assumed he was at work. And so next thing I know, he's walking through the bedroom door. And I'm like, what are you doing here? I thought you were at work. And he said, what's going on? And I said, I have no idea. I said, did you move my phones because they're gone? And he said, no, I didn't, but I found them. And I said, what do you mean you found them?
Yeah.
He said, well, they were they were in the bathroom. He said, you never put them in there. I said, no, I don't. I don't understand. So I get the phones and the cases are damaged. The phones aren't working correctly. I go into the bathroom. I mean, there was no reason for them to be in there. I never take them in there. And I found one slipper there and one slipper in the other part of the bedroom, which made absolutely no sense. So I looked at him and he said, are you all right? And I said, no, something's wrong. Like something happened. I know something happened. And I had on my pajamas, and in my pocket of my pajamas, I had a Kleenex in there when all of this had happened the night before. And he looked at me and he said, have you looked at what you're wearing? I said, I'm wearing my pajamas, the same thing I wear every night. He said, no, look again. And the top was fine. The bottoms were on inside out. And the Kleenex was out of the pocket. And I'm like, okay, here we go again. I've had DNA samples taken. I've had fetal implants. I've had a lot of stuff done to me. I've woken up and had long spinally black and blue marks that were handprints on the inside of my legs, where it looked like something had grabbed me and spread my legs open. For whatever reason, I've had DNA samples. I've got an implant in my ear. I mean, there's been a lot that's gone on through the years. And so I looked down and now my pajamas are on inside out. They were not like that night because I put a Kleenex in the pocket. The pocket, once the pajamas are on inside out, you have no access to it.
Yeah.
So it would not have happened. And the Kleenex with my DNA on it was gone. So I was like, what? And I mean, I was terrified. I really and truly was terrified. As the day went on, I was very out of it, very, very out of it. Went to go to bed that night and I'm sitting up. He's laying in bed. I'm sitting up because I'm like, I'm not ready to go to sleep. I didn't want to go to sleep. First time in my life that after an attack, I just absolutely was not going to go to bed. Normally it happens and I'm over it in a minute. I move on with my life. This time it was, no, I'm not going to bed. I'm on medication for my heart at night. I wouldn't even take my heart medicine because I was at the point where I'm like, I don't want anything that could make me groggy, even though that never has before. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't take it. And I'm sitting there and I'm waiting. And I telepathic. I mind speak with absolutely everything in the galactics, on the planet, dogs, cats, trees, rocks, you name it, I can talk to it. And I was sitting there and I heard a voice say to me to watch this movie. And I can't remember what it was called now. And so I looked it up and I went on the streaming services that had it. I bought the movie so that I could find out what it was in this movie that was supposed to tell me something, because I had no memory of anything that had happened that night. The only thing I did know was I didn't feel bad. I read energy. I teach energy work. That's what I do. I've done that since I was like 4 and 5 years old. Right. And I didn't pick up any bad energy. And I didn't pick up bad energy residue that was left in the room either. So it was very confusing. So I go, and I think the movie was called Answers. And I turned it on. I never got farther in than like 5 minutes. There was a woman there talking about an ET abduction she had, and a light came through the window at her. When that light came through the window, it's like it triggered it. And during the day, or right at dark that night, we were sitting on the bed, and a flash of light had come in the window prior to this and just illuminated the whole room. Wow. And I had known they were outside all day because I do read energy. So if there's a change in energy from anything, it affects me. So I had been agitated all that day. In fact, I told everybody in the house, I said, listen, if I'm bitchy to you, if I'm snappy to you, please know I love you with my whole heart. It's not you. There's something that's going to happen and I will deal with it, but just know that I'm not agitated with you. And everybody was like, okay, fine. Well, then this goes on. So now I watch this movie, and in the movie, there was a flashlight in the movie. As soon as that flash of light in the movie hit, I got triggered. And I remembered 3 beings there. They were completely black, but they were definitely an ET. I didn't feel anything bad from them. I actually felt love coming from them, which was really confusing considering, they were black and all of this is happening. And I literally watched everything play out. And I watched one come out of the bathroom and he waved his hand across the room, and on the floor, all of a sudden it looked like a solar system. I even remember the pattern. There was like 7 circles, and it looked like some kind of a pattern. Wow. And I remembered that. I remembered them standing in front of my armoire, and then I remembered nothing. And this is where people don't really quite understand, and I hope I articulate it okay. When you have missing time, which I've had on and off my entire life, missing time doesn't frighten me. Why am I afraid of something I don't remember? So missing time has never upset me other than, okay, well, here we go again. This was different. I did not exist in this time span. I didn't
Wow.
exist. And there's a huge difference. I know it doesn't sound like it, but there actually is. It's one thing to not remember anything. It's another thing to feel to your core that you never existed to begin with. And that terrified me worse than any encounter I've ever had in my life. Like, I'm sitting on the bed and I'm hyperventilating and I can't catch my breath. And I've never gotten so scared with them that that's been the case. And I couldn't catch my breath. I'm like crying. I'm hysterical. You know, he didn't know what to do about any of it because he didn't know what was wrong. And yet at the same time, it wasn't that I had a memory of what was done to me. It was, I had a memory that for a short amount of time, I never existed anywhere, not at any planet, not on any plane. I did not exist. And so it took a couple days to finally reach out and get any of them to talk to me. And they said that there was another race of ETs that were coming in to kill me, which is pretty much typical. And because of different things that I can do, I get it a lot. And that the only way they felt they could protect me was for me not to exist. That is exactly what had happened. I did not exist for a short time, but then I was brought back.
Okay.
And honestly, that was the most terrifying thing that I've ever dealt with when it comes to these
Okay,
things at
so
all.
like if you didn't exist, when you didn't exist in that space when they took you, but you
They said I didn't exist anywhere.
so not even on the earth plane?
No, I don't know how they did it. I don't have any idea. All I was told by them was that I did not exist on any plane in the galactics, on Earth, anywhere, and that they had to do it. It was the only way to keep me alive.
Okay, but you weren't gone. You don't from your home. You were
I have no idea because I don't remember.
Oh my God.
I mean, this is why it was so terrifying. It wasn't just missing time. I didn't exist. And the thing about it was I knew I didn't exist. If it would have been just like a blackout with missing time,
Yeah.
excuse me, I think I would have been okay.
Yeah.
But I knew, I felt it in my heart. I did not exist. Like I had never been born. And I mean, it was truly, it does.
Yeah, you just.
That, okay.
Okay.
It was actually terrifying. Actually, very, very terrifying. It was the worst of all of it. And I've had where they've taken me and tried to do DNA experiments on me and various things. And that was scary enough. I've gotten over the years, like in the not in the beginning, but I want to say like back in like 2000, maybe 14, 15, they had gotten really violent encounters in dream state. And those were kind of scary. And then I started blowing them up in dream state. And then once I started doing that, that seemed to back off quite a bit. But then I'm catching the camera there. But then it got to be problematic because it was no longer in dream state. Now it was in physical form. You know, I would wake up with cuts and bruises and these triangular shaped marks and dots all over my body. You know, a lot of times I wouldn't remember them doing the samples on me. Now, back in the 90s, no, 80s, late 80s, early 90s, I had at one time fetal implants done. I mean, I went into the doctor's office.
Yeah, this is, I'm just letting everybody know, this is pretty common. Okay, and they even came after me for my son. So, I mean, if you're really into the extraterrestrial community, they do the fetal implants. This one woman I knew was at 6 months, and she woke up the next day and her baby was gone. Okay, no doctors could explain it to her. She had been to every specialist. She didn't know anything about UFOs. Okay, and this isn't the first time I've heard this. They came after me for my son, and I was, no, they did not want to deal with me at all during that time. They were just peeking in to see, okay, can we do this or not? And no.
Yeah, and see, back when this happened to me, now they wouldn't dare. And they did make one attempt to do that again to me back about, I think I was in my very early 40s. By then I knew enough. and it never happened. That wasn't going to go down. But when they did it to me the first time, I was in my late 20s, and there was no way I could have gotten pregnant because my husband had a vasectomy and I had not cheated. I knew I had not cheated. And all of a sudden I'm getting morning sickness and I'm getting an abdomen. And at that time I was very tiny built, and before gravity and age hit. And
Oh, God.
and it was very easy to tell I was pregnant. And of course he's like, what's going on with you? Like you're sick all the time, and look at your abdomen, or. So I went to the doctor. I did the urine test. It came out negative. And they went to do a blood test, and every time they did the blood test, there was a problem with the blood test. And a blood test is just a hormone level, and yet they couldn't get it to read. And I don't understand that. I don't know if they knew something in the lab, and so the lab sent the results back differently. I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is we couldn't get anything conclusive. The doctor did a pelvic exam on me, and he said, well, at that time they said I was 4 months pregnant.
Okay, so this doctor said what?
Well, the doctor ended up doing a pelvic exam on me.
Yeah.
When he did the pelvic exam, he said that my uterus was very clearly 4 months along.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He had another doctor come in and check, and he got the same thing. They said, was I sure that, I had not been with anybody? And I said, no, just my husband, and he's had a vasectomy. And they said, well, you need to have him checked because you're pregnant. I don't care what the urine test is coming out, but you're pregnant.
And you can't say anything about ETs or extraterrestrials
to
a doctor. I've had that happen to me, and never again will I talk to any doctors or anyone like that about my experiences, except for my dentist. He did lead me into the right direction to where we have no idea what this is, and that's another story. But
yeah, they were perplexed. They were like, well, obviously the vasectomy didn't work. I said, he got it years ago. Like, what are you talking about? And so they decided to schedule an ultrasound. Every ultrasound we did, the machine malfunctioned. Everyone. We did 4. And they all malfunctioned. This was all documented until my files were taken. And I said, so, I knew I hadn't done anything. And now we're having problems. My husband and I are fighting because he doesn't understand it. And he didn't understand the whole ET thing, encrypted thing. Anyway, he didn't believe it. And I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, I'm at home with 5 kids all the time. I never go anywhere. Like, I didn't know this was happening,
Yeah.
And I knew what had happened because there were moments of blackout times, and I knew that. And I knew the ETs had been around, and that was the only thing that I could deduce. Like I said, we did the ultrasounds. The ultrasounds never took place because the machine malfunctioned every single time. I was 5.5 months along, and the doctor told me, he said, when this is over, because of all the negative pregnancy tests, we are going to do a paper on this because you are definitely pregnant. He said, my abdomen, it was moving. It's not like it wasn't even moving.
Oh my God.
And I was 5 to 5.5 months along is what we had anticipated it was. And I woke up one morning and my abdomen was flat.
Yep. You're not the only one. There's a ton of people out there.
No, it happened one other time, but I didn't go as far along that time. It was probably 4.5 months, maybe close to 5, but not real close. And not only was I flat that morning, during the night, before I woke up and found my stomach was flat again, I had these very vivid dreams that, as far as I'm concerned, were not dreams at all. They were reality. And I was actually actively trying to take the baby back from the ETs. And they had it, and they wouldn't, they were not going to give it back. And I kept trying and trying and trying. And at one point I had the baby with me, and it looked relatively human, but not completely human.
Right.
At all. And they were chasing me, trying to get this baby, and they did get the baby. And that's what woke me up. I woke up screaming. And when I woke up, my abdomen was flat.
Yeah, well, you're lucky. At least you saw all that stuff instead of being a normal person that isn't into this and all of a sudden waking up and it's gone.
Right. I mean, I did that one with the first one. The second one, I actually fought back to try to keep the baby. I had years later, I was laying in bed watching TV. It was like 10 o'clock at night, wide awake again. Like they don't seem to care if I'm awake or not. And I looked over and it looked like this translucent being walked up the side of my bed and called me mom. And it was
Oh,
about 4 foot tall. And I just looked at it and I said, "What did you say?" And it said, "You're my mom. I
oh,
wanted to know my mom."
oh my.
And I went to talk to it again and it was gone.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about this is that, I mean, because I've worked with famous people, you know that, Robin, and you're one of them,
Oh yeah.
okay? You're one of them. But I've had people speak about being taken up, okay, again, in the ship and shown their child, okay?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, the
It's
actual physical looking child, not just a hologram,
right. Yeah. This one
wow.
was translucent, but I could see features and I could see it, kind of like with the Bigfoot. When the Bigfoot do the shimmer, it's like that predator gel predator thing.
Yeah,
When they cloak, they're 100% transparent. And it moved its over.
right, exactly. Up, there you go. Okay.
No, here we go.
Okay, great.
I'm sorry. My little icon where I'm at, I couldn't see it to make sure I stayed center, and so
Yeah,
that's why
yeah.
I did that. So anyway, yeah, but with this one, it was like the shimmer where it's that gelled water type thing, but I could see facial features, and it looked like it was female. That's the energy it had as well. Whether or not that's accurate, I have no way of knowing. But they've done this to me my whole life. I don't know a time they haven't.
Okay,
And
so
they are pretty brave about it.
okay, so
I mean,
no, so for some reason these negative aliens, because they're not all, okay, want to attack you
yes.
for what? Why do you think that?
um, I'm trying to explain this in
Don't
the best
don't
way.
laugh. Don't laugh. Say it as it
No,
is.
I'm not laughing. I'm trying to think of the best way to put it out there with what I'm allowed to say.
You
There are
mean, what do
certain
you mean
things.
that you can't say? They don't want you to say
No, it has
things?
nothing to do with them. It has to do with things that I am supposed to do in my life.
Oh, that you don't want
And
them coming back by speaking.
oh no, it's not even that. It's just, I don't talk a lot about it because it really doesn't affect anybody other than a couple of different prophecies and things that I'm supposed to do while I'm here. And so they don't want me to do them. The bad stuff doesn't want me to do it. The good stuff wants me to, the bad stuff doesn't. So it's basically one of these things where the bad stuff wants me shut down and has tried very hard. I actually got attacked by Dracos and ended up in intensive care at one point in time. I was not expected to live. The doctor, it happened very, very quickly. The doctor did not expect me to live and had wanted me to notify family, whoever. And of course, at that time, I was so bad, I wasn't going to be the one notifying anybody.
What was it that you were hospitalized for?
I had gone to the doctor that Friday and I had my normal physical. And my doctor, because I do have health issues, I always have since I was little. My doctor does all my stuff stat. Like I get my blood test back the same day, get my chest X-rays back, everything,
Sure.
because my health can turn on a dime.
Right.
And so I had been there on Friday. All my blood workup came back perfectly fine. Chest X-rays were clear. Everything was wonderful. And I was like really happy because I'd been almost 2 years without even getting a head cold, which for me is really amazing. And Saturday, my ex-husband was over. We were not married at the time yet. And he was over and he was sitting on the couch and he came in and he said, "Listen, I can't kiss you while I'm here." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because something just put something in my mouth." And he's telepathic as well. And I heard something say, "As soon as you kiss her, it will go into her lungs and she'll be dead and we'll finally be rid of her."
Oh my
So
God.
he's like, "I don't want to kiss you." And I said, "Oh my goodness, you're being ridiculous." So I gave him a kiss anyway. Within a matter of minutes, I got very lethargic and very tired. And I said, I just have to lay down. Like, I feel 100%. And he's like, I'm telling you, something's going to happen. I said, no. Usually I pick up on stuff before it does, but I really, my guard was down. Like, I wasn't paying attention as I should have been. And I went and I laid down, and I literally couldn't do anything. So the next day I got up, I was still like that. He was due to return home because he had to work. So he lived out of town at the time. And he was due to go back to work. And he said, I don't think I should go. And I said, just go. I'm fine. I'm tired. That's all it is I'm tired.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a big deal. I'm not sick. I'm just tired. And so he told my daughter, he said, you don't go to school tomorrow. You stay home with her. I've got a really bad feeling. So she's like, oh, this is great. I get to stay home from school. So she stayed home from school the next day. And I had a mini pig and I had a collie dog that would alert me to seizures. And they kept coming in and with their nose and rooting at me and barking at me and carrying on. And I kept thinking, I'm not having a seizure. What are they doing? Like, they're just acting crazy. And one of the Bigfoot had mind spoke with me and said, you're in trouble. You need to go to your people for help. So I said to my daughter, I said, you know what? I don't feel sick. I really think that what we need to do is I need to go up to ER. I mean, I think that's where we're headed. So she's like, okay. So I was going to call an ambulance, and I didn't because I couldn't drive. But one of the neighbors said they would take us. So my daughter and I both went up to the hospital. I walked in, and I couldn't walk, and they had to come out with a wheelchair. They took me in. The doctor examined me, and he said, do you have a do not resuscitate order? And I said, no. I said, you see that young girl over there, which was my daughter? And he said, yeah. I said, that is, you will resuscitate me. I don't care if you have to swing me around, jump on me like a flying monkey. I am all she has. Like, you don't let anything go on. And he's like, okay. He said, here's what's going on. Your heart's getting ready to crash. I've got a crash team coming in. And I'm like floored. I'm like, I was perfectly healthy. There was nothing wrong with me. And he said, we're getting you up to intensive care.
Wow.
And we need to start calling people. And I said, okay. So they got me up there. As I'm in intensive care, I'm laying there, and all these spirits are standing around me, and they're trying to talk to me. I have talked to spirits and cryptids since before I could actually physically talk. I could mind speak. I can't hear anybody. That has not happened to me before. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm in deep trouble here. Like, I can't hear them, which means they can't hear me, or they could, but I couldn't hear them. How am I going to communicate with anything at this point? I can't even get help.
Oh, God.
And I work with some other people, and we kind of have our own little thing that if anything goes bad, contact the other one, get hold of the Bigfoots, and get the healers in because we need help.
Right.
And I had made sure that the right person was told to do so. So I'm laying in the intensive care unit, and I'm thinking somebody better show up because this is getting really bad. Doctors came in and they said, your lungs are both completely full.
Oh my,
and I said, that's not possible. It hasn't even been 48 hours from an x-ray. What are you talking about? And they're like, we are going to try to save you, obviously, but you need to understand that you are in a very bad place right now. If you survive, you're going to be 6 months at least in intensive care and probably another 6 months in rehab in the hospital.
What?
And I'm thinking, this is like so crazy. This cannot even be happening.
No.
I remember when the Bigfoot got there. I felt their hands on my legs. I felt the vibration being put in my body. And as I felt the vibration, I could hear chanting and humming, and I looked up and I could physically see them. I was out of intensive care in 12 hours and home in less than 24.
Wow.
And yeah, it was pretty intense. It took me about 8 or 9 months to get my strength back, which was really kind of scary because when my strength is low, like there's a difference in physical energy strength, like where you can run around the block, and the energy that's in your body. And people get confused with that, and they really shouldn't, because the energy in your body, you can be the weakest person on the planet, but your energy within your body is strong, and you can use that to protect yourself. In my case, everything was so tapped because I came so close to dying. It was really very precocious for me at that time.
Wow.
Precarious, because I was really limited to what I could do.
Oh.
I did a lot of grounding work. I knew the tools that I had, to use, and it was okay. But it can be really, really tricky. And they definitely liquefied me.
Well, okay. Now, at that point in time, like I've done, is I've reached out to my communities, Okay, one of them that we love is Daryl's site. What is that? Bigfoot.
Oh, we love Daryl.
Yeah, Bigfoot, and what is it called?
Bigfoot Believers and Other Creatures.
Right. Yeah, we're both on there, but and I've reached out to a lot of people with things I'm going to be talking alone finally in my Halloween show that I had to reach out to because nothing was working. Did you do that?
Did I do what?
Reach out to people to help you.
I didn't, because this is what people don't realize. Everything with me, I've spent my whole life alone in this. I didn't have anybody to go to. I think that's why I am so driven, like excessively driven to work and help with other people. I take phone calls at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
I do this 7 days a week. I don't take days off. I have certain.
You're out of your mind.
I know.
I close my phones down at 5, and I got a call the other day at 7, and I talked to him for a while, and I'm like, "Why did you do that?" And he just ended up being some kind of freak. So I've learned to do 9 to 5. So anyway,
yeah, I can't. I work, and that's the other thing. I work with people all over the globe. It's not
just
the United States.
Yeah, you
I
can't.
have people all across the globe. So I take phone calls at 3 o'clock in the morning. I take phone calls at 4 in the morning.
You sound like the lady on The Conjuring.
I know, it's really crazy.
Like the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I also, there are certain cases that I think need a little bit more attention than others. And these people know that if you are in trouble, if you're out in the woods, and whether it's a cryptid, whether it's an ET, whether it's a spirit, whether it's whatever, you just send me a 911 message, and I don't care what I'm doing, I will drop that, because that's a 911 emergency, and those people need help then. They don't need it when it's convenient.
Oh God, why are you saying this? You're going to get so overwhelmed, and you got your new business site. You're going to have to come up with some boundaries.
Here's what happened. The way it'll work on the business site is it'll explain what services I offer. If there's a service that somebody needs and it's not showing up on that site, there's a contact form. Contact me, because I do a lot of things. Not all of them are listed on the website.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean I can't do them.
Right.
So there's a contact form over there that will send it directly to my business email. And if it's something I can help you with, I'm happy to do so.
Yeah, but
the thing of it is I can tell, I'm pretty good at telling if somebody's got a real situation, or if this is just something to get my attention, because that's happened before.
Yeah.
But like I said, as far as the Sasquatch stuff goes, there's a lot of services with the Sasquatch I don't charge for. I have an agreement with them, and I do not morally feel comfortable making money off of them.
Right.
Or morally making money off of people in need. I don't believe in my heart that someone should be denied help in a critical situation because of their bank account.
Yeah.
And I have done all this for years, and I've never charged. But what's happened now is I am busy all the time.
Well, yeah, because you're not just talking on podcasts, but you're speakers at all of these events that you have going on, like Daryl. And I was talking to Daryl, and he's like, I'm kind of burned out. And I'm like, well, that's fine. Just let me know when you are.
I don't get to get burned out.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me to even, I just, even to work, it's really difficult. If I'm working in regular work, there's people that don't get the help they need. So I've now opened the website. There will be services that are charged, but there, like I said, there's certain things that I'm not ever going to charge people for, just because of the way it is. And it comes down to, do I help people, or I've got to stay alive, and pay my own bills as well. But my priority is everybody else. It always has been. I've been protecting the cryptids and people since I was little. This is what I was supposed to be doing. This is what I do.
Okay, I have a question. How do you differentiate between nut jobs, because I can very well, and people that are serious? Can you do that away?
Number one, I'm an empath, so I pick up a lot that way.
Yeah.
2, I do psychic readings, so that helps me a lot. I read energy. Energy never lies. And on top of that, when you have people that are actually in trouble or actually having any of these things, there's a few key things that is common with people, which I'm not going to go over with on the show. But when you have people that don't have those components, you know that that's not right.
Yeah.
I've had people get hold of me and tell me that this is what's going on, and I actually know that that's not what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
But I pick up, it's more of a feeling that they are concerned this is going to go on and they want information. And so I will help them. I don't help all of them. There are some that are just too crazy even for me. But the thing is I've gone through so many things. Nobody knows it all. I don't consider myself an expert. I'm never going to think I'm an expert because I don't believe there's experts in this field, no matter how much it happens. I think that this is a million-piece puzzle, and everybody has pieces, and people that may have just seen a UFO go overhead, or people that just saw a Bigfoot dart in the woods or found a footprint, are every bit as important and every bit as viable as someone like myself or like you, Zoe, that have gone through all of these experiences.
Oh,
it takes
my God.
all of us together to find answers.
Yeah, I put a 911 call into pretty much, you know, and the morning that, I'm not going to get into it, but I'll speak about it on my Halloween show. And I was like, I've never seen anything like that because, you know, quite frankly, I was being attacked too, as you know.
Oh, absolutely.
And I was like, I've done everything. I know about this shit, man. You know, it's like, nothing's working.
Yeah. Like I said, I've got one thing in my little arsenal that I've never had it fail. And so I use that in extreme cases. So if we need it, we've got it for you. I have to be the one that does it. There was a woman a few years ago, and I'm going to refrain from using her name just to be kind. And I was helping her, and she said, you know, these things are attacking me, and I'm scanning a remote view, and I do a lot of weird stuff. And I knew the situation was not as she had told me, and I had talked to them as well. And I was like, you've got to change what's going on with you and what you're doing there. That's what's causing the stir up.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm happy to help you with that. And she said, well, they just keep coming and coming. And I thought, all right, I'll do what I do and back them off a little bit so I can work with her. As soon as I did this, and it's a chant, it's not dark magic. I don't believe in dark magic. I'll never do dark magic. Once you do it, you can't come back. I don't do those kinds of things. I'm never going to do those kinds of things. Oh,
God, Robin, I did. I suffered. I seriously suffered.
This isn't any kind of a thing like that, but there is a chant, and I'm the only one that can use it. It was written specifically for me. And I did it, and they backed off, and I stopped it early because I didn't want to kill anything. I just wanted them to back off so I could correct her problems, not theirs.
Yeah.
And they backed off. What I didn't know is this woman recorded me.
Oh, my God.
You talk about a violation.
Oh,
I have never felt so violated. And I didn't know she had done it. And she called me the next day and she said, will you please redo the chant because I don't have it. I said, you're not supposed to have it.
No.
She said, I recorded it. And she said, I went to play it this morning. It's gone off the recorder.
Of course.
I said, it's off. Yeah, I said, it's off the recorder because it was never yours to begin with. It's mine. It was made and written for me. Nobody else can say it. It won't do you any good.
Yeah.
But you stole that. Like you stole from me. I said, I will no longer help you. And then she called me for over a year. I blocked her. She changes her name to get back in touch with me. And I'm like, I'm just, my phone fell.
I had to do the same. I had to do the same thing.
There's a limit to what even I'll put up with. And I think I put up with a lot from some unkind people that maybe.
Well, you sure in the hell put up with a lot more than me.
I just, my whole goal is to help everybody. It's, yes, obviously I have a website now where I am charging for certain things, but I have to survive.
Yeah, so let's close that down and talk about this new venture again one more time that you're doing.
So nervous.
And I know you are, but I've been very supportive of it.
You have been great. These are things, I've been doing these things for probably over 40 years. These are nothing new. This is not like a new skill set I just acquired and thought I would run with it.
Right.
I've been already doing this. I've been doing this privately. People contact me.
Yeah.
They pay me for my services.
And you are busy.
Yeah. And so, I mean, this isn't like I just went and took a class. These are things, to begin with, I've never taken a class on any of this stuff. This stuff was taught to me by spirits, by cryptids, by ETs. This is nothing I've learned in books. This is something that I've learned based on my experiences, what I've gone through, what I've worked with other people, and also based on what I've been taught from the sources themselves.
Right.
And so it's never been anything that I've ever read in a book or learned in that way. I've had people come into my life that were very gracious and helped teach me things. Actually, there's only been one person that's really done that for me, and I think she's incredible. God bless her. But this is not like, I took a class and learned it. I see a lot of people that are like, oh, I can do this and this and this, and I took this class. And you might be able to. Like, I teach energy classes. I can teach people how to move energy.
Well, yeah, because there's a lot of people out there that don't really know, and they do need that
right.
help.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
It's a good thing. And I've helped literally hundreds of people by teaching those classes. But myself, I had to learn it old school. I didn't have anybody to go to about any of this stuff. My parents were very kind and loving people. I never told them about all this. They did know. I asked them about the Bigfoot and the Dogmen, and they didn't know anything about it. But they were kind and said, but we know you and you don't lie. So we don't know how to help you. There's no books on it out at that time. I was a little kid. I couldn't even read.
Yeah. Okay.
And
so let's.
These are all, life lessons, and they work.
Yeah.
I've had good success. Do I promise perfection on everything for everybody? No, because I don't think perfection exists. It's an illusion. But I do have a good track record, and I do seem to be pretty on target. And I do the best I can with what I got. I guess that's the best way to do it. I don't have any tools. I have me. Right. I don't need the tools.
Right.
Because I'm my own tool.
Let's tell me what because we're closing down now. Tell me what you just started this new
I did
website, and so what is the name of that again?
It is called Paranormal-Empowerment.com.
Right.
And you can go on the site. It'll tell you some of the classes on there. It's very simple. It's made so that everybody can get on there.
Thank God.
And there's a contact form there. Yeah, I didn't want anything too techy. The woman that built the site for me is absolutely incredible. She's also part of this paranormal field that we live in.
Excellent.
The world that we've seen with our eyes never existed to begin with. And people need to be clear on that. It never existed. The actual world is not what it was perceived to be. That's what we were trained and taught was there, and it never was like that to begin with.
Right.
So it's time for people to open their eyes, see what's really out there. And the reason I chose the name Paranormal Empowerment, and there is a dash in between that, is because knowledge is power. How can you make accurate decisions about your life or about things that are going on in your life, or try to take control of your life and deal with the good and the bad if you're not given information?
No.
And that's where the empowerment.
That's why I like to do these shows, because it helps people. Do I feel comfortable doing my last show with just me talking? Not really. But I realized that, so many people ask me, I thought it's time.
The information has to come out. It doesn't faze me now, because if people think I'm crazy, I'm used to it, so it doesn't. But the truth of the matter is, I was quiet for the first 20, 30 years of my life, and I dealt with all this stuff, and I encountered all this stuff, and I was abducted, and I did all this work with the Sasquatch and the Dogmen and the cat people
and the forest people.
And the forest people. And I did all of these things, and I never went public with anything. My first time going public, believe it or not, was in Siberia at an international conference hosted by Igor Borstev, and I was asked to go there, which I did.
Yes.
And I came back. I did a couple of small conferences, and then people decided that if they could catch me and abduct me and put me in a cage, then it would make all of the Bigfoots and everybody come in to save me.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is insane. I have small children.
Yeah.
So after a couple of bad attempts, I withdrew, got quiet, and I stayed quiet. And what got me back out, when I was quiet, let me make sure everybody understands, I was still working with people. I wasn't out of sight and out of mind. People were contacting me through Facebook or referrals and going, please help us with this, please help us with that. And I was working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week then, even though I was not public.
Right.
And then almost 6 years ago, it'll be 6 years in March, the Sasquatch people asked me to go public. They wanted people to know what they truly were. I worked
Sure.
on the DNA study with Dr. Melba Ketchum, and they had already told me what they were, so it wasn't like it was a surprise. And they wanted me to move forward, talk to people, let them know about their culture, their way of life, their traditions, their families, all of those things. And so I said, okay, because I've worked with them and I've done work for them my whole life.
Right.
And
Right.
so, yeah, that's my
Well,
employer.
okay.
And so I went ahead and I started doing the conferences again. And then I met Duke Sullivan from World Bigfoot Radio, and he put me on there. And it's just kind of erupted since then. And it's been wonderful. I've met people that I otherwise would not have.
Sure.
And it's been tremendous. I'm very blessed. And then, of course, I got to meet you through Daryl.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're gonna we gotta shut this down because we only do so many minutes because people don't want to watch an hour, and we've already gone over time. But I'm just gonna say this last, and don't go off on it. I know the government has abducted you. I know the men in black have been there. I know all that shit. Okay, so we didn't get into that, but we can get into that in a different show.
Yep.
Okay. So I just want to say I really appreciate you being on here. And I know we touched on so many subjects that we could do so many interviews on each subject because this was just kind of an outline. Okay. But at least they're going to be able to see that really cool, MUFON approved video, and they can go there and they can find you at Robin, ROBIN HAYNES on Facebook.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And also, if you go on my page, the link will be up for the website is live. It's launching today. I waited for Zoe's show to launch it. It's been kept private until today. So it will be in a couple of the groups. I'm very nervous about being public with it. I don't mind the work at all. It's the being that out there with the website. I don't have a big ego. And so for me to put a website out there like that is a little bit unnerving for me. The work I've been doing forever. So I'm not worried about the work, and I'm not worried about the quality. But it will be on my site. It'll be on Daryl Denton's site, Bigfoot Believers and Other Creatures. And we're going to try to spread it around. But it is live. It's on the internet. It is paranormal-empowerment.com. And hope everybody enjoys it. If anybody needs anything, you know how to get hold of me.
It's going to go great. We're going to do more interviews. And so I'm looking forward to having you on in the future, girl. And we'll talk soon. We'll talk soon. We'll talk soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And you're such a wonderful person. And I just want to thank you for being on the show. And I got to dress as an alien and try to put my damn arm in the suit. Should have never done it. I'm in so much pain. I'm supposed to have on a whole.
I'm just glad I got to do the show because
I just got stupid. I shouldn't have worn this. I need to be in a sling. So I'm in a lot of pain.
I know, but you look wonderful.
I gotta
I'm surprised you made it. The ETs attacked last night and throughout this morning. So
well, I gotta go take my hydro. That must have been who told me to put the suit on without my thing, and I gotta go take a hydrocodone.
Probably.
So I need to get off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love ya.
Okay, love you too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.